real business owners.
So, I mean, here's the deal. Business partnerships are something I'm becoming an expert in because I've had so many over the years.
Kel's had more than me. So
first of all,
Kel's the proper person.
And a lot of them have failed. The most successful one's been Trevor, and there's even been a lot to learn, obviously, in a great one.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, man. I don't think it's a good idea to partner with someone when it's already his business. Like if you guys have like a whole new venture you want to partner on, maybe that'd be a little bit different. But coming in as a partner into an existing business is always a little bit different because it's a relationship, right? And he's already kind of established or brought a business to a certain point, and there's always this weird battle on like what's fair. And that's huge because just like any relationship, there's like issues with codependency, who brings what to the table. Nobody wants to be dependent on somebody for a very long time, and nobody wants somebody depending on them for a very long time. And so what happens is there's like these weird control battles that happen. Well, I'm the superior and I want to be the one in control. And they start using different guilt trips to gain power.
This thing was here before you, and it's going to be here after
so
you.
I think that's kind of one thing that you should be concerned about. But I think all business partnerships should really evaluate and be very transparent with each other on who brings what to the table and what the value is on that. And it needs to happen with like pay for what your involvement is in the company, and then there needs to be a direct correlation to the value of what you bring to the table for that partnership in shares as well. Mm-hmm. And you need to lay it all out, and you need to also think long term when you're going into a partnership. You need to lay it all out, and then you need to say, okay, now here's the thing is over the years of this business, this is what you need to maintain to bring to the table. Or if we start bringing people in to delegate some of these duties to, we need to have a plan for that as well. Otherwise, there is going to be these weird festers of resentment that just are going to continue to compound over time. And so, it's impossible to lay it all out, but you need to do as much as you possibly can because it does happen. And then you have to get yourself in check, and you got to have harder conversations later with people. And, we've been through it, and I've had other partnerships that haven't been through it, and it just totally imploded. And so business partnerships are super,
it's tough.
There's a lot of value in them, and there's a lot of,
there's a
lot of not value.
I would say in the beginning, there's a lot of value when everybody's excited and they're trying to build something, and it starts getting messy when the money really starts flowing in, right? So, if the business is now generating enough revenue where people are making, $250,000, $500,000 a year, then it gets to the point where, well, I'm doing more than that person, or whatever, but yet the pay is equal or whatever it is, right? So the issues in the beginning will not be there, right? You're still kind of in the honeymoon phase of starting a business together. You guys are, a band of brothers trying to build something special. And so there's something cool about that. But once you've built something special and the money's flowing in, that's when things can start getting a little murky. The waters get murky. There's always, in partnerships with us, me and Kel are very, very similar in terms of we're willing to travel. We're willing to, take risks. We're both good at sales. We're both good leaders. We're both good at motivating people to get what we need done, not only for ourselves, but for them and their families, right? They need to grow and evolve as individuals. And, we make it a priority for self-improvement in our companies, especially on the sales side, because they're only limited based upon, their mind, right?
Yeah.
So there's no ceiling when it's a commission-based job. And so we focused a lot on self-improvement in that regard. But then there's going to be times where, somebody's going to get comfortable with a certain number. Right. So let's say there's two partners and one person's going to be very comfortable at $100,000 a year or $200,000 a year. And the other one wants to continue to evolve and make $500,000 a year or $1 million a year. And so I would say in the beginning stages, make sure that you understand what each other's true intentions and goals long-term are. Is your goal to build a company so that you could sell it and exit that business? Or is your goal to make $500,000 a year and then put people in place to operate that business to where you're just cashing checks? Because if one person's goal is like, hey, I'm happy with $200,000 a year, and the other one's like, well, I want to make $1 million a year, that's when things start getting a little murky. Because once you get to $200,000 a year, that other partner's going to kind of pull back a little bit and not give as much to the business, while you're still sitting there trying to push the business forward to get to the income level that you want to be at. Right. So in a contract or an agreement in terms of partnerships, there should be, caps, salary caps.
Exactly.
Hey, no partner could make over, $1,000 a week as a salary, because at one point, Kel had a partnership that back in the day that it no longer exists. And those partners wanted to try to squeeze Kel and Jeremy out of the business, and they were like talking to the attorney that was Kel's attorney and saying, hey, how do we do? And the attorney says, you can't do that based upon the operating agreement. And they wanted to try to salary themselves to the point to where there wasn't a whole lot of dividends or draws coming out of the company. If they put themselves on $1 million a year salary, then, and there's only $200,000 left at the end of the year, then you split that between the partnerships. So there's some partners that aren't getting their fair share of what the operating agreement said. So there should be salary caps in an operating agreement. So yes, if you show up every single day and I don't, you make $1,000 a week just to manage the company or whatever it is, and then the rest comes out in dividends and draws. And so one, making sure your goals line up and match each other, and secondly, making sure that there's caps on how much salary can be taken from the business.
Super real transparent conversations need to happen in the beginning. Then it needs to go to the operating phase, operating agreement phase. And that saved our bacon in that partnership. Otherwise, those guys would have taken all my relationships and they would have squeezed us out. Because even though I wasn't there day to day, and so now they started getting resentments because they're like, well, we're cutting you all these checks. And I'm like, I'm managing all these relationships from my other company,
and
I'm just not in the office day to day.
You were the money piece too.
Dude, it got really weird, man. And I learned a lot through it.
But did it get weird in the beginning, or did it get weird when the company was profiting $4 million a year?
And that's the other thing that I'm glad you brought up, because
whatever it was,
everybody starts these businesses and then they have their partnerships based on insecurities, right? Like, okay, well, I'm already busy running this business over here and that's going to be a lot on my plate. I don't think I could juggle both. So this is perfect. These guys can run the day-to-day operations. I'll bring the relationships. Well, they didn't see us day-to-day. But they just saw all the work they were doing. They didn't see what I was doing because I wasn't there day-to-day. And so what happens is they're like, well, we don't need Kel anymore. We have all the relationships. Let's squeeze them out. And then they couldn't, because luckily, I'd already been through a failed business partnership before even that one, and I was able to have our attorney put voting rights in, which made it incapable for them to just vote us out. And then we also had all these salary caps in place, so they couldn't just raise salaries on us and squeeze out our dividends, right? So that really protected us, and I learned a lot through that. And then it also opened the door, because the only option at that point was, let's buy each other all out or divvy up the equity in this company, and let's close it. And that gave us the opportunity to come to people like you and be like, hey, let's partner up on this over here. The salesmen want to come work for us. We're closing the company down. And then obviously he's given us the hindsight to create our operating agreements and have our business partnerships and be more transparent with each other for a more successful one. The most successful business partnerships are the ones that do not create these codependencies and insecurities and let things fester, and you can lay it all out on table. One of the things that really makes me and Trev's business partnership so great is we don't necessarily need each other. Like, if Trevor wants to go build a business and our relationship did fall apart, he's going to be successful. If I want to go, I can go build a different company without Trevor, because we have skill sets that we don't really need. We just are stronger together, right? And so that's what a lot of people need to realize. Like, find a strength in a partner, but don't find a strength in a partner and partner with them just because you're insecure and they bring something to the table that you don't. Like, find the value, put it all on paper, lay it all out, and then commit to it, and you'll have a much longer partnership that's going to be successful.
Yeah. Now, you brought up a good point. I'll finish with this, and then we can move on to the next question. Kel said something there. After that partnership fell apart, there were people that wanted to come work for him.
Right.
So if you have partnerships, or you're going to have partnerships and you're an entrepreneur, treat your people right. So if something ever did happen, that you're the go-to person, they want to still work with you and be with you. So if there's ever an issue, you have an entire workforce that's behind you because you treated them properly, and they'll rally with you no matter what you decide to do. And that's what happened in this scenario. Next thing you know, a few years later, we build another $10 million company.
How you treat people should never change, okay? You shouldn't ever put yourself on a pedestal like you're above your salespeople, you're above your fulfillment people, you're above. But that's honestly like been the game changer in building a network of people that want to send us business and creating a network of people that want to come work for us. It's like those guys wanted to come work for me because I'm not going to say names, but those people were treated like shit by the people that were running the day-to-day. And they saw how our other company operated.
And they're struggling right now financially. So they probably wish that didn't happen.
That's true.